y'all. It is Wednesday, ruled by Woden's Day, ruled by Mercury, the 23rd of December. It is a red solar moon guided by life force, according to the Mayan dream spell. It is a Svadhisthana chakra day, sacral chakra day. So be doing the mudras and the mantras. This is the waters of creativity, the waters of, the procreative region of the body, essentially. And the sun is in Capricorn, moon is in Aries, Mercury is in Capricorn, conjunct the sun, off by 2 degrees. Venus is in Sag, Mars is in Aries, conjunct the moon by 3 degrees. Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct within minutes, 10 minutes, 0 degrees, 54 and 41, respectively, Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus, Neptune's in Pisces, Pluto's in Cap. The north node is in Gemini, the south node is in Sagittarius. So let's go ahead and see what's popping for today. I live up in Colorado. It's very cold today, but we were having winter squall warnings as my mom and stepdad were going to pick up my sister and her husband to come visit for the holidays in the airport. So crazy weather up here, cold, windy, snowy, etc. We have the Five of Cups. Hopefully you're all doing better than the Five of Cups, but here we are. Five of Cups. This is about hope is not gone, right? We might have felt a shift recently. We're like, oh my God, what's happening? Allow yourself to grieve what is spilled. Give in to the grief and work through it. Five of Cups. I am inconsolable. The Swiss-American psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was a pioneer in research on near-death experiences and the process of grief. She postulated the 5 stages of grief. Denial. This can't be happening. Anger. Why me? It's not fair. Bargaining, if only then I would. Depression, why go on? And acceptance, it's going to be okay. Towards the end of her own life, she said the stages were not always a linear, predictable progression. This opened the door for us to understand grief as a process which unfolds across time. Ultimately, the process travels across different emotional topographies that must make the full journey in order to reach the land of acceptance and integration. The Five of Cups, distraught yet almost indistinguishable figure, crouches by the river, watching as a hand desperately reaches out from the rushing torrent as it's swept away. 5 cups, 5 stages, must be consumed in order to move on. 3 cups hold red inflammation. 1 stands empty with feelings of emptiness and meaninglessness, and the last cup holds hope, a return to the heart. For this card to have impact, one does not need to be dealing with something catastrophic. It points to the fact that we all carry tremendous grief, ancestral grief, familial grief, cultural grief, grief of our loss of innocence. We all live out the 5 stages of grief in numerous ways. A dream job we have worked so hard for falls through. A relationship breaks up. Children leave the home. No one passes through life untouched by grief and loss. As Buddha would say, life is suffering. Grief is a part of the natural cycle of life. We could stop fighting against it and allow ourselves to feel what needs to be felt. Tarot offers us an opportunity to see ourselves through different eyes, to see what needs to be questioned, healed, and released. It offers us new vistas to move towards and explore. As with the Four of Cups, we have the capacity to create a new context or viewpoint through which we can explore our pains and discomforts. We can transform them into something wondrous. Byron Katie's system, called The Work, offers a way of questioning and releasing the painful stories we inhabit, stepping into the open freedom that is our true, radiant, and untarnished self. The Five of Cups took me to my own deep grief, the loss of loved ones, the failures, the hard times I had put my family through with relentless pursuit of my creative dreams. The fast-flowing river in the card has more than one meaning or possibility. Of course, we could be swept away by the river of tears, but we could also be cleansed by it too. We could put right what we can and let go of our grief. Let it be taken back into the great ocean of life. For me, this card does not point to the arrival of some form of grief, for it has already arrived and we carry it in our DNA, in our cells. Instead, it presents a question and powerful possibility. It asks you to look at grief you hold on to. It invites you to complete with it, let it go, letting life, nature, take care of transmuting it back into the vitas or energy. So the Five of Cups is hope is not gone. Allow yourself to grieve what is spilled, give in to the grief and work through it, right? So life is a tragic, weird tale, and it's hard, and we can dump this into our subconscious and carry grief and disappointments our whole life and not really process them. This is calling us to do that. Cry. It's like, don't cry for me, Argentina. It's like, yes, you can cry. It's okay. Don't stay in grief. the way you do that is to, it's almost like a towel. If it's really wet, you want to wring it out, right? The Five of Cups is about wringing out the grief, wringing out that tragic energy to the degree you're able and willing to at the time, and knowing that this too shall pass. We all go through it. Whoa. And that ultimately it's unavoidable. So, bypassing it and saying it doesn't exist is not healthy either. We have the Two of Fire with the North Node in Gemini and Moon and Mars conjunct in Aries with Sagittarius Venus, very resonant there. So the Two of Fire to counteract this watery Five of Cups. Balance it, I should say. Two of Fire. All right. Two of Fire is about duality, polarity, separation, unity, dichotomy, integration, choice, and big picture. Venus and Sag is like, I love seeing the big picture. Key phrases: everything has an opposite, North Node in Gemini. Duality divides and separates. Polarity unites and integrates. When you create, you also destroy. Embrace an open mind. Nothing is ever black and white. A choice between dichotomy and integration, and sometimes both parties can be right. It's a choice between dichotomy and integration of grief in the Five of. It's like you're going to want to integrate it and process it. That's kind of what that card is all about, the Five of Cups. Meaning, the Two of Air represents both duality and polarity, and the theory that everything in creation has an opposite. Duality is the theory that two opposing forces come together to create a state of chaos. In this theory, positive and negative poles repel each other, and so there is a constant and ongoing battle between the two, where one seeks to overcome or be rid of the other. Polarity, however, is the idea that two opposing forces exist in all things within the universe, not as separate competing forces, but as complementary, opposing aspects of a singular whole. In this theory, one is just as necessary as the other. Think joy and sadness are, at points in the movie Inside Out by Pixar, competing, and they're in duality, but then ultimately they realize they're in a polarity relationship, and they are both necessary. In this theory, one is just as necessary as the other. One does not exist without the other. You can't have joy without sadness. You can't have, that kind of stuff. Acceptance without grief. And in some situations, depending upon one's perspective, one could even be said to be an identical mirror image of the other. Consider a magnet, for example. It is made up of a positive pole and a negative pole. Without either one or the other, the magnet ceases to be a magnet. You cannot remove a negative half from the positive half because there is no half of one and half of the other. There is only the whole. If you were to divide a magnet in two, all you would succeed in doing is one of two things. You would create two separate magnets or destroy the magnet. As such, a magnet wouldn't be a magnet anymore. As the theory of polarity points out, there are opposites. While one has no identity or meaning without the other, neither is intrinsically good or bad. Fear is. Love is. Light is. Dark is. Love can be as destructive as fear, and fear can be beneficial. It can save lives and inspire the desire to improve or heal. It can also make you more empathetic, understanding and appreciative. More often than not, both polar opposites are experienced in unison. For instance, when you create something, you destroy the state that existed prior to your creating it. You create and destroy in unison. They are not separate states. They are the same state seen from two different perspectives. When you love something, you most probably fear also losing it. The fear might not be voiced or even acknowledged. It might be denied even. It is, however, still present. You would fight to protect that something because you love it, but also because but you also fight because you are losing it or seeing it harmed. Therefore, to love is to also fear. And to act from a place of love is also to act from a place of fear. You might choose to lose weight and exercise and say that you're doing so because you love yourself and you just deserve to have a healthy body. At the same time, it could be said that you choose to lose weight and exercise because you fear what may happen if you do not. Your choice is motivated by both love and fear. Again, it is the same state, simply viewed from different perspectives. That is polarity. With the duality principle, however, one force is always better than the other. Right and wrong, love and hate, light and dark, positive and negative, creation and destruction, all illustrate extreme opposites where one is perceived to be good and the other is bad, and the primary goal is for good to triumph to overcome the, quote, bad. Duality divides and creates two separate states. It creates a state of one versus the other. It creates a warlike state of conflict that serves only to perpetuate more chaos. Duality is black and white. Polarity is the entire spectrum. Duality divides and competes. Polarity unites and accepts. The two of... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong card. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm looking at the Two of Air. Maybe I should start over, but I'm not going to. Okay, I was like, oh, shit. Two of Fire. I mean, this still applies two of air was very North Node Gemini. So we got a good lesson out of that. My mistake. I'm not going to grieve over spilled cups. Big, oh my God, I'm going to stop this. I'm just going to keep going through. Two of fire. I'm sorry. Power sharing, mentorship, partnerships, equality, teamwork, mutual interest, ambition, and control. Align yourself with another. A power sharing situation. Two heads are better than one. A time for teamwork and cooperation. A struggle for power. Mars and is in the moon and Mars is in Aries as well as the moon. So it's like struggling for power. Seek one who will teach much needed skills, an equal exchange of energy, someone who will help you overcome obstacles. Meaning, here we go for the real card. The two of fire represents partnerships and aligning yourself with another who shares your goals and visions in order to make an ideal a reality. Venus and Sagittarius, like we both see the same vision. It symbolizes a power sharing situation where two people with mutual interests work together because together they have more of a chance of success in achieving their ambitions than they would if they have worked alone. The two of fire represents teamwork and working together in a harmonious way. The division of labor is a natural and organic thing, as each has a different but equal strengths when brought together create a stronger and united whole. It signifies an equal exchange of energy where both parties are derived the same reward and satisfaction. Do you have a goal or outcome you wish to manifest but cannot accomplish without assistance? When the two of fire appears in your reading, it represents an opportunity to work with someone in a collaborative way that may allow you to both to make thought a reality. Whether that person comes to you as a mentor who, by working with you, can teach you much needed skills, or a partner who works with you to have the workload, your shared vision and mutual interest will help you to overcome the obstacle you have found in your path that may be preventing you from moving forward. Now is the time for teamwork. In this situation, two heads are better than one, and two pairs of hands will make lighter work. Well, it's a lot less verbose than the two of air that I was saying. But anyway, mistakes happen. I will not grieve them. I will accept it and move on. Acceptance is the last stage in that sense, non-linear, Five of Cups. But the two of fire is saying, get together with people and make shit happen. With Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius now, it's about teamwork, making the dream work. Duality, North Node in Gemini, we're not just holding South Node to our beliefs and saying, not yours, mine alone. It's like, okay, look, I'll make compromises, you make compromises, let's be more powerful. We're just together. And ultimately, yeah, like I said, Moon and Mars are in Aries, Venus is in Sagittarius, so there's some fiery kind of let's accomplish stuff. Sun, Mercury, and Capricorn together with the fire of heart. I think that might be one of the only times I've ever read the wrong thing and realized it, so that's kind of funny. We have sharing cultural ideals. Number 66. So even sharing the workload of understanding and acceptance. Right, sharing cultural ideals. Pleiades, present timeline, number 66. Sharing cultural ideals. Pleiades, 66, present timeline. Pleiadians are enthusiastic cosmic anthropologists. They love studying other cultures and interacting with them. Part of this is sharing the Pleiadian culture with other species as well. This is never to dictate what is right or wrong, but purely for the purpose of exchanging ideas. This natural curiosity is also within you, and this card is suggesting you embrace this part of yourself a bit more, North Node and Gemini. Don't be afraid to explore and share with others what you've learned, but do so from a place of neutrality and genuine loving kindness, not South Node Sag. Know that the ideas you share will help others on their spiritual journeys. Spiritual journey, Venus and Sagittarius. This card refers to a time in Pleiadian history when they spread their cultural ideals through the galactic family, but never in a forceful way. Human history has shown that when evolved groups contact primitive groups such as the Spaniards and the native peoples of Mexico, there is a tendency to conquer and wipe out an established indigenous culture. This issue is an important one for humans to heal, because once, let's stop grieving it and let's stop repeating it and denying it, right? All these stages of grief, let's accept it and then work together. Teamwork makes the dream work in a fiery-hearted way. Once humans move out into space, that type of behavior will not be compatible with the galactic community's protocols. An essential step in human evolution is to allow everyone to embrace their own cultural beliefs, cultures and beliefs, North Node of Gemini, and to celebrate the diversity. If you pulled this card, it could mean many different things depending on your surrounding cards and your individual circumstance. It may mean that you have a Pleiadian lifetime in which you were one of these cultural engineers who celebrated diversity and served as a teacher for awakening planetary species. Venus in Sag, just like I love to teach. Or perhaps as a human now, you serve the function of bringing together different people and sharing ideas with no judgment or forcing of beliefs. It could also mean the opposite. Perhaps it is a warning to stop trying to push your beliefs onto others. South Node Sag, Moon and Mars in Aries. Don't just be forceful with your vision of what is, quote, true, because everybody has their own truth. It could also mean the opposite. Perhaps it is warning to stop trying to push your beliefs onto others. Maybe someone is trying to do that to you, and the message is to stand firm, Capricorn, Sun, and Mercury, in your right to have your own beliefs and celebrate that difference. Be independent and achieve your own outlook on life. Look at the surrounding cards and your current circumstances to understand the more subtle meanings. So let's go ahead and get a Stacy DeMarco card, Animal Oracle card. She was a guest on the podcast, and that was fun. We'll have to get her back on. She's an Aquarius, and we got along great. So I love this deck. I love all my decks, I'll be real. I'm biased, I guess, and there's a lot of decks I don't even use. Shark, purpose. Right? There's even a purpose in our grief. This isn't meaningless. Life is not meaningless and stuff. We might feel that way sometimes. And the purpose is to unite together, to work with our hearts and minds in unison, to share cultural, to show all the different kinds of purposes that reality has. And you yourself have an individual purpose. Shark, number 36. Purpose. You are perfectly formed to be who you were born to be. Even if you're in a time of grieving, that's perfectly all right. There is a great power in keeping your focus. Saturn and Aquarius and Jupiter and Aquarius is like get the big picture and focus in a positively polarized way. But also Capricorn, Sun, and Mercury, it's like be focused. Procrastination is just another kind of fear, so keep moving forward. You are protected in a difficult task. Mythos. The people of Polynesia had a very different relationship to sharks than most other cultures, right? This is going to be sharing cultural ideals. Like they worked with the shark, the Aumakua, which we'll talk about in a second. Rather than being the object of horror and fear, right? Resentment, fear, grief, and being, oh my God, the sharks are just here to attack us and kill us. It's like more than that. Rather than that, they were honored for their power and purpose, and they're seen as gods or Aumakua who could be protective. The shark god, and I'm going to butcher these names, Kele Akua Okau, was the cousin of Kamaohali'i and the great fire goddess Pele. He was a powerful god, but quite a lonely one. He used to swim close to the shore and became friendly with the human people there, the Ka'u. Kele Akau would watch the people swim and fish and watch the sun set with its many colors, and it was during such one time that he saw a human woman whom he felt was very beautiful. He got her attention and her trust, and they both fell in love. She fell pregnant, and when her time came, she birthed a magic green shark. The sun joined them in the sea and would help his mother and her people whenever they went fishing as a protection as when they traveled. In Hawaiian culture, animals can be family's aumakua, kind of protective spiritual guardian. This is a form of reincarnation of a family member after death, as they could transform into an aumakua animal. Some families had sharks as their aumakuas, and these families would never fear sharks, knowing that their ancestors were still alive but in shark form. The animal. Sharks are highly specialized fish that have evolved to be the apex predator in their habitat. Sharks' teeth are embedded in the flesh around the jaw, not within the jaw itself, and the teeth are constantly regrown as needed. Their sense of smell is incredible. They could sniff out 1 part of blood in 1,000,000 parts seawater. Their sense of hearing is also acute, being able to detect sounds emanating from many kilometers away. Sharks have special lateral lines down the sides of their bodies that are tuned to tiny vibrations and movements in the water, which helps them recognize prey that might be slow moving or struggling in the water. They also have a special organ, the ampullae of Lorenzini, that picks up electrical signals and makes them the most electrically sensitive of all animals. This is key for catching prey and in navigation, the latter because the Earth gives off electromagnetic impulses that are dependent upon the position of the planet. Some sharks are even more specialized in their evolution, for example, the hammerhead. The silhouette is unmistakable, as there is nothing that looks quite like a hammerhead. The eyes of a hammerhead, and we're actually having Jamie Janover on today, and he's a hammer dulcimer player, so this is kind of a sync there. The eyes of a hammerhead are placed on the edges of the head wings, which gives them extensive visual width. Very handy as the hammerhead scans the sea and sandy bottom for food. Hammerhead sharks are viviparous and do not lay eggs, but pups grow inside the female shark. This is like land-based mammals and is quite unusual for sharks. However, the mother gives birth to 25 to 50 live pups at one time, and they are born with their eye wings folded back, weird but kind of cute. Other species of sharks lay eggs, so they're very unique in that sense, live births. The magic. Sharks are magnificent creatures built for a purpose. Even grief, like I'm saying, even the bad times, even the blues has a purpose. Makes you appreciate the joyful times. They are focused on their job as a predator and are exquisitely fine-tuned to do this. Every sense is supercharged. Every move is powerful. Use shark magic when you want to find your purpose and your focus again. Perhaps you are procrastinating or simply think you cannot finish a project. So call on the energy of the shark to keep your eyes on the prize. This is on page 144. Keep your eyes on the prize, 144. Symbols are dorsal fin out of water, shark tail, shark teeth, and jaws. Their status ranges from critically endangered to threatened. The practice of shark finning and sharks as bycatch are huge issues. We actually do not know enough about some species of shark to be able to guess at their numbers. So sharks, a very ancient animal. They're older than some forms of trees because evolution of life in water happened first, and we got water here with the Five of Cups. The evolution of the self. All things have a purpose, including bad days, hardships, things we try to negotiate, deny, all that stuff, right? Guilt, grief. The Five of Cups energy. Use that and find the others and find people who are common with you, and that you can merge your hearts and minds together to basically create new worlds. Share cultural ideals, share the hurts and hangups that you've had and the hopes and dreams, and find people that are resonant with that and create new worlds. That's kind of what we're getting told here. And what a world we can build. Capricorn and Mercury and Sun in Capricorn. It's like we can build Rome if we put our minds together and stuff like that. But like it's changing, so we're trying not to be like Rome. So we've got Gilbert and George as the art card. Very North Node in Gemini look. It's like put your finger in somebody else's mouth. Be as playful and weird as you want to be. Gilbert Proch and George Passmore have waved the banner Art for All since their collaborative debut in 1967. Very Jupiter, Saturn, and Aquarius. With works addressing sex, religion, politics, and social taboos through an aesthetic of sometimes hallucinatory pop. Early works include living sculpture, in which Gilbert and George painted themselves metallic and walked the London streets. Today, they're known for large grid-like paintings and are identified by both their trademark tailored suits and their birthday suits. They're often the nude subjects of their works. Very Venus and Sag. Like, I'm willing to push the boundaries and be kind of experimental in a luscious way. Gilbert and George have described their influences as everything from humanity to universal suffering. Universal suffering. Five of Cups. And humanity, the things we do together. It's all cultural ideals, right? They share and they try to spread the good word. That's their purpose. That's how they see themselves, as ambassadors of like the spectrum of humanity. So this says dress the part. And I think at some level we have to understand that there's multiple phases. It's like it's okay to be in denial. Dress the part. Accept it fully. There's a time to be in acceptance. Own it fully. There's a time to be, bartering, right? The Five of Cups is like hope is not lost. We don't lose hope. Everything has a purpose. Find the others and try to share what your beliefs are and cultural dynamics, and ultimately be that, right? Dress the part. Be what you believe at that moment, and just know that that's a dynamic thing at levels. So there's, the eternal you is not anything on this plane particularly, quite frankly. So the stone we have, or very little of you doesn't change down here. The 3D Danburite. We're getting as the stone you can quantumly entangle with this. What it is, like the beta blockers in Grandma's medicine cabinet, Danburite's twinkling effervescent energy takes the edge off with its serious feel-good vibes. Venus and Sag. Who needs it? Emos, goths, buttoned-up white-collar stress cases. Where to put it? Wherever you want to. Some elevated thinking, feeling, dreaming, being. Like when you want to elevate yourself, right? Rise out of the Five of Cups, out of the mire of the emotions. When to use it? When the daily grind has ground you into the pavement, which could be a byproduct of Capricorn season, right? When you're thinking too much about work and success or the climbing the ladder, Sun and Mercury in Capricorn. When you feel like launching into space but lack astronaut training, vibing with Danburite can help help divert your busy mind away from its pesky physics-ruled orientation. There's somewhere else out there. Gemini North Node. Imagine. Wow. Flip on the high beams and explore. This says turn on your electric light. Sometimes that is the way to get out of a funk, to find hope in new. You want to fully process and not deny and not, and grieve fully and all that jazz, but you also want to find new places, electric fire that turns you onto a purpose beyond where you are right now. Share that purpose with others, and that's how cultures and myths are created and people are inspired. Ultimately, dress the part, own it, rock it, move forward, and turn on your electrical light, turn on your awareness to such a degree that you move forward in a very real, positive way. Let's go ahead and play some music. I'm surprised this isn't taking that long, even though I read like 3 minutes of the wrong card. My sister and her husband are here, so I'm trying to hang out with them, but I've also got a podcast today, like I said, with Jamie Janover. He's like Nassim Harriman's like buddy. Which will be kind of cool. Nassim Harriman is like an Einstein of now, kind of. Like a new age Einstein, basically. So, let's jam. You get the idea. So, beautiful things can happen, even with heartbreak, right? And we do need to grieve and release those emotions, but we also need to find inspiration, be grateful. Like all these things kind of tie together. So, yes, hardships happen. Yes, suffering is largely part of the game. But with that, there's better and worse ways to operate through that. Don't deny it. Accept. I mean, there's going to be phases, so don't even beat yourself up. Sometimes you're in denial. Sometimes you're in acceptance. Sometimes you're in bartering. And what we really need to be doing is including others in our suffering, even though it's our suffering that nobody else can drink that cup. Community and love, right? Sharing ideals, sharing cultural gifts, sharing cultural pains is a part of the purpose of being human. So dress the part. You are a human. Be here now. Be fully imbibed. We have higher selves and maybe even transdimensional selves that show polarity, but interact with others, right? And ultimately turn on your electric light, turn on the inspirational thing that will get you out of the funk. And sometimes that means just fully processing it. So that was kind of like a bluesier jam, but it's like, own it. Like, don't just hide from the blues and say, no, everything's fine. It's like, that's not how it works. Check out the podcast. We have Jamie G over today. That'll be great. Like I said, he's Nassim Harriman's kind of right-hand man, as well as a guy named Alan Green, who's not of the Sync book, but is kind of a mathematician kind of dude. But he's also a dulcimer player. He's played with bands like all sorts of bands. I can't think of the names right now, but just festivals and stuff. He plays dulcimer with psychedelic groups and rave type situations as well as traditionally. So that should be interesting. Check it out. Hit me up for readings. I've been giving some readings lately. It's half off. So a 2 to 3 hour kind of chart reading, astrology chart reading, is $44. You can't beat that shit. And cards are $22. That's about an hour. Make it a gift. It's Christmas season, right? Gift yourself. And hopefully we talk about that because that's fun for me. It's fun for you. Everyone wins. Ultimately, know that this too shall pass. We're where we need to be exactly, and you are built for these moments and have a purpose, and it's your choice, your attitude that determines kind of how you operate in the given moment at any one point in time. Enjoy your Wednesday. Adios.